Being a part of the Student Equity Advisory Board is important to me because in this group we focus on social injustices and what we can do to help and fix what's going on in our state.
For me, it was very important to become a member of the Student Equity Board solely to get perspective. When I talk about perspective, I mean it in the way of looking at social issues through the eyes of others that are not like me.
I wanted to spread awareness about the inequity in Connecticut.
So I really wanted to work with students from across the state to identify areas where we could make improvements to equity and ensure that students from all across Connecticut get the same opportunities as everyone else.
Being able to listen to other people's stories and be able to educate myself as to what's going on around Connecticut is a way for me to just be able to listen and be able to help make a change.
Growing up, sometimes we got comments where I sounded white to some people. Being 6 or 7 or 8 in elementary school and being told that you don't sound how you look is very confusing for someone who's trying to learn as well.
I transferred from Hartford Public School when I was younger, and the other students would bully me and pick on me, saying that because I'm darker than everyone else, I would never be pretty and I could never be as smart as them coming from a Hartford Public School. It's hard for people to tell you that you will never be enough because of where you come from and what you look like.
As an Asian American, sometimes I do face some racial prejudice. So sometimes people either do not understand the cultures I come from or the types of traditions that I practice at home. Even though we might live our lives differently, or we may practice different religions, or we might be part of different groups of people, it really helps just to understand that there are different ways to live and neither one is right or wrong.
As a student athlete of color, I have experienced prejudice on the playing field. Playing away games in certain towns, we would feel as if we didn't even have a chance to win, and this wasn't determined by who was the better team. Most times, I felt a subtle hint of discrimination.
I feel like there have been many instances where, as a young student of color, people have saw me and see that maybe I'm not as capable as my white counterparts. It's made things a little bit harder, but it's also made me a stronger person.
I am a Jewish person in this community, and as a freshman, to see people draw swastikas, people say different slang terms that just really hit me. These acts made me feel like I wasn't safe here.
Being a female, most people push you down to try to make you not believe in yourself anymore. And I feel like females especially need to bring themselves back up, prove others wrong, and make a change for us. Bring our own minds into the situation and fight for what we believe in.
Freshman year, I went to another town that was predominantly white, and I did notice a lot of equity issues and equality issues. The students that I used to come with from Waterbury, we were treated differently academically. We weren't met the same way in the sense that we weren't really seen as a student per se. We were more treated like an extra person in the room. And that was the reason why I transferred back to a school in my town, because I had people that were like me and we weren't really ostracized.
I'm first generation American. My parents immigrated from Guatemala. Being a part of an immigrant household came with some disadvantages. Two that I can name right now would be both legal and financial status. The majority of my friend group is people of color, which is very helpful to know that there are other people that are struggling through the same issues. Finding your identity within American culture as well as your family's culture.
Growing up, I experienced colorism. It was something that impacted me greatly because society was kind of trying to break me down, making me feel like I wasn't good enough, or made me feel more self-conscious about how I looked and concerned about what people thought of me. The ideology that people that have my shade of skin or darker are not typically beauty or have these stereotypes automatically attached to them because of their skin color. Going to Capital Prep made me realize that I can do something about it. For my senior social justice project, I created the HUE project, which is a project that focuses on advocating for girls who aren't content in their own skin or who are struggling to be themselves when society is telling them that there's a certain level of beauty or certain level of privilege that you need to have to be accepted.
When you were a little better than another person right from birth, that is privilege in itself.
I feel like I have a lack of privilege. As a young black woman, whenever I go into stores, I'm looked at differently, I'm treated differently. Privilege is something that's not understood both ways if you haven't seen it from both ways. It's crazy how there's such a big change economically within towns and schools that are not even far from each other.
Honestly, I get really nervous whenever I see a cop car parked to the side of the highway. Even if I'm going the speed limit and I'm doing the right thing, I still get nervous because I don't know if my skin color is dangerous to them.
I feel like people only do things when it's happening to them. But if you know you have a certain amount of privilege and you can do something to change something that you see, an inequality and injustice, do something about it.
Pursuing ethnic and gender diversity remains an uphill battle. We need change, and it starts within our schools. There should be more awareness spread on Black history, race, and inequalities in classrooms.
Every year we learn about the revolution, we learn about how the Americas was founded, how we lost touch with Britain, how we separated from them, how we had the Louisiana Purchase and the Native Americans. I feel like instead of doing the same things that we learn every year, just more in depth, we should have more Latin history, we should have more Black history, we should learn about Cesar Chavez. We should learn about more than just Martin Luther King's speech and how Rosa Parks didn't want to get up from the back of the bus. We should learn about Malcolm X's institutions and how he wanted to fight fire with fire and why he believed that way. We should learn about the Marvelettes and how they shaped the music industry. And we should learn about the Tuskegee Airmen more. We should learn about Little Rock 9 and the hardships they had to go through just to go to school.
Place more of an emphasis on teaching a history that serves all of our communities and all of our backgrounds, especially in areas where people might not be able to see themselves represented in history books. Curriculum can be reformed in a way that places more of an emphasis on equitably and honestly teaching history, because there are certainly areas of our past that we glaze over.
We tend to only learn about the struggles from slavery and the Underground Railroads. We should be learning about Black and Hispanic and Asian and Pacific American success stories, because I feel like if you only learn about the struggle, then you tend to think the only way I can succeed is if I struggle, and that's not true.
My first point would be to move away from the idea of diversity and act upon equity. When it comes to the idea of diversity, an organization can be diverse, can be titled diverse, but not necessarily have equity.
Not only students, but also teachers need to start believing in, the people around them. I think one of the best feelings is when you have someone believing in you and that they believe that you can do anything. One of the best things when you're a kid is to hear the fact that you can be anything that you want to be.
As a collective, we all deserve to appreciate and learn from one another, and we also deserve to give other people the same respect. If we want to be heard, we should give them the same respect and let them have their voice spoken.
We humans have the ability to evolve and transcend our limits, as we've always done. Things that we have thought to not be possible hundreds of years ago, we now do it on the regular. Cars, airplanes. So I think that even when it comes to social issues like this, I think we have the ability to pave a way to a better future.
I want everyone to know that treating others the way you want to be treated is key, especially in the world we live in today.
I hope for our generation, we make the change that we're trying to make. We right now are doing protests, we're doing so many different things, and we're leading towards that change.
As a generation, I can definitely say that we are more inclusive, we're a lot more accepting, and we're a lot more understanding. I've noticed, like, through my personal experience and in my school alone, we've had people come out and like they were met with like applause and happiness and like acceptance and just told like, wow, you're super brave, like I'm here for you.
Living during this time with all these like political movements and also the social justice movements, it's showing young people and even people from other generations that change is possible. We just have to take the initiative to make it happen.
This needed to happen so that people can really open their eyes. I feel like people didn't really understand the severity of what was going on until George Floyd, and this year really opened up a lot of people's eyes.
This past summer, when America underwent a racial reckoning, it kind of jump-started my own reflection into my privilege. One of the most important things you can do is listen, right? It's to listen to people who don't have the same opportunities, the people who have different backgrounds and different lived experiences than you do. Because I deeply believe in the power of empathy and how empathy drives progress, and being able to listen to the stories of other students who do not have access to the same materials that I do here at my school has really shaped the way that I see equity in Connecticut.
Even as young as I am, I just think about like, what if my children have to go through the same thing, you know? But like, that's why I'm here and that's why I have to speak, you know, and put my voice out there before, I just want to create a better future for not only me, but like the people that come after me.